Hi, this is Priyanka Chopra and you're watching Channel Y.
The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media. Y Media has newspaper, midweek, radio, South Asian Pulse.
Hi, I'm Amitabh Bachchan and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
Hi, this is Amir Khan and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
अब हर दिन सुने GTA का नंबर 1 रेडियो स्टेशन FM 91.9.
You are watching Channel Y. Channel Y.
Prime Minister, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be back.
Online, SouthAsianDaily.com. The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media.
Hello everyone, welcome to Y Media Group. I am your host Shelly Seni. A very warm welcome. On June 26th, the voters of Toronto will pick their new mayor. On May 12th, sharp at 2 p.m., the nominations closed, and we stand with 92 candidates who are running for one position, the coveted chair. Who is going to be the next mayor of Toronto? Right now, we have a very special guest with us. We have one of the 92 candidates. He has been a journalist himself, a seasoned journalist. He has been a broadcaster and a commentator for over 15 years. I have with me Anthony FUREY. Welcome, Mr. FUREY. How are you?
Hi, Shelley. I'm doing great, and thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here on the program today.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I first of all want to ask you, you have now taken a deep dive into politics. Why?
Well, yeah, thank you for the question. The main reason is I love this city. I love Toronto, and I believe it's a city worth fighting for. And throughout my career as a newspaper columnist and broadcaster, I've gotten to know people from all walks of life in all corners of this city. They tell me what they love about this city, and they tell me about their concerns. And my sense is that their concerns right now have largely been caused by the status quo voices at city, the current politicians who are managing things, some of whom are running against me for mayor. But I think it's time for a fresh voice, a fresh perspective. And I believe that the positions that I've been advocating for in the newspapers and on the radio and television programs I've done over the years, that those are the solutions that people are really looking for right now.
No, absolutely. You are definitely bringing in a fresh perspective. But tell me one thing, 92 candidates. How many people in Toronto would be able to get their hands to this fresh perspective?
Well, the polling numbers show that I'm one of the top choices, and I've been participating in some of the top debates, and I've been going around and just meeting with people. That's what this is really all about, Shelley, is it's going out and meeting the regular voters, average voters. I'm proud to be endorsed by a lot of prominent politicians, former federal conservative finance minister Joe Oliver, former Liberal MP Dennis Mills, a very prominent individual, celebrity chef Mark McEwen backing me. But it's not so much about the celebrity endorsements as it is about the regular folks. So we got people handing out flyers all across the city backing my candidacy, and I'm meeting with people and talking on the phone with people every day. And I got to tell you, the more I get out there, the more I'm reminded of how Toronto is a beautiful city, and I just love everybody in it. And we got to fight for people to make the streets safer for their families, to make things more affordable, and that's what I'm all about.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned polls. So I'm going to talk about the polls now. Some of the polls in the past few weeks did not mention your name as one of the top candidates, but one of the latest from the Main Street just brought in your name. What do you think has changed in the past few days? We have now 7% of the decided voters who will go for you.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of us with a a sort of small percentage of support like that. I think what's going on is the more I get out to meet people and the more they learn about me, because a lot of people in Toronto know about me from my work, but not everybody was reading the newspaper that I was writing in. So some people are just meeting me for the first time. And as more people learn my name and learn what my campaign is about, that's how the support is growing. And that's how we're attracting more volunteers to the campaign and how the polling support is going up. I'm really energized and excited now that, to your point, the deadline to register has passed and we're all locked in here, and I'm ready for the ride. I feel like I've only just gotten started, so it's nice to see I have a good amount of support as it is in the polls, and I'm ready for this marathon to just go tirelessly every day to fight for the folks of Toronto.
Absolutely. And well, yes, we would like to tell our viewers that, like you just said, Mr. Anthony FUREY has been meeting with a lot of people. And in fact, on one of those meet trails, we happened to meet Mr. Anthony FUREY. And you must have seen this coverage on our midweek's edition as well. There he is, Mr. Anthony FUREY. And this was during the Nagar Kirtan, which occurred in Toronto, where people were, of course, for a different reason. They were participating in the Nagar Kirtan, but there, Mr. Anthony FUREY also got a chance to meet with people, understand their perspective. So again, you are bringing in a fresh perspective and also trying to understand other people's perspective, which comes in handy when you are entering politics. So tell me one thing. Now, we are talking about a region of Canada that is densely populated with a lot of immigrants.
Yes.
What is your understanding? How will you connect with people who are coming from different regions of the world, who may not be very handy with the language or do not understand what the challenges of the city are and what their expectations are from the city because they're new?
No, absolutely. And it's been so great to meet with many new Canadians and many immigrant groups the past couple of months. I was always throughout my career meeting with new Canadians, but even more than ever, I'm now sitting down with people and hearing their concerns. And I think that for me, what matters most right now is that our similarities matter more than our differences. So I can sit down with someone who's maybe a different faith than I am, or we're very different ages apart, or whatever it is. We eat different food, we speak a different language, but we have shared concerns and we have shared values when it comes to family, when it comes to community, when it comes to safety, when it comes to respecting people's money. People are out there working hard. And I don't think a politician should be looking for opportunities to take more money from people. I think we should be looking for opportunities to give more money back to people. And as you know, a lot of immigrants are small business owners and entrepreneurs. And I've come out with a whole platform about respecting small business persons, listening to them, and giving them back more of their money.
You have been very vocal about safety and balancing the books at the city. How will you make that happen? Let's talk about the budget, because there is a deficit that has been projected. And two things, because housing, public safety, money and taxes, these has been the top concerns for Torontonians and the major promises when it comes to the campaign promises that are being made by the candidates. So my question here is, let's just first talk about the money, because there are so many different aspects. Now, when it comes to housing, the city is saying because the developmental taxes have been deducted by the government, by the provincial government, and that takes money from our coffers. How will we manage? How will you manage?
But reducing those development fees actually reduces the price of a home. So I support that, because so many hardworking new families, immigrant families, want to buy a home. And if the government can reduce the price of the home by $30,000, $50,000, I think that's really important. And that's a priority. And Shelley, when it comes to the budget, it's about managing priorities. So yes, we're going to get less revenue because we're making homes more affordable, but there's a lot of items on the city budget that I got to tell you, if I said, can you believe we're spending this amount of money on say, this crazy project? And you'd say, no way, you're making it up. They're not really doing that. And I go, well, yes, they are. There's a lot of crazy projects. And I'm looking forward to unveiling them and exposing them and saying, I don't want to be spending money on this anymore. I'll give you an example. The City of Toronto spends millions of dollars per year on plowing snow from bike lanes in January, February, and March, even though people aren't using these bike lanes in January, February, and March. So I would rather take that $10 million and find a way to give it back to the people rather than spend it on something that I think most people would agree isn't all that necessary.
Right, and you have been very vocal about bike lanes, and you are one of the first candidates who actually spoke about it. So, from the perspective of someone who is not living in Toronto and has not experienced the issues with bike lanes, can you make us understand what really the issue is and what is the solution?
Yeah, the city has been creating more and more bike lanes on major roads all throughout downtown Toronto. They've got plans to create many more. And these are bike lanes. It's not just the painted lines that say, okay, a bicycle can go here, but it's got those concrete blocks, which mean you can't even move into them like it's a shoulder on the side of the lane. So there's videos on social media of ambulances that are trying to get by crowded Yonge Street, but they can't do it. They can't get past the traffic because the traffic can't even move to the side because of the way the bike lanes are. And look, I like bicycling. I go bicycling with my kids. It's great for recreation, but we can't have every single road dominated with bike lanes, particularly in a country where there's winter so many months of the year. So many people have had enough and they feel it's making gridlock worse. Delivery drivers, taxi cab drivers, commuters, they're all telling me this bike lane situation is giving them a major headache. And I can tell you there's some kind of loud bike lane activist people who they get really angry at me when I say this, but I know I have the regular people on my side. So we've just got to scale back on some of these bike lanes. No more of them on major roads.
All right, got it. So no more of the bike lanes on the major road. And you clearly stated that you support deduction of the development fees.
Yes.
And then you have been very vocal about balancing the books, cutting extra money that is being, and you just said it here, right? Projects that are not needed, you will take the money out and will invest it in areas where we need to focus. But how will you do that? Because when it comes to implementation of the plan, there are a lot of yes and no's that will happen.
You got it. And I'm not afraid to be the guy who says no to some of those special interest groups that don't represent hardworking taxpayers, but for some reason they're getting taxpayer dollars for their little pet projects. Now, I've already said on the first day I announced I was running for mayor, I said, first day I get into office, I'm going to do a 90-day review where I look at everything the city's doing. And if something isn't laser focused on providing value for residents and taxpayers and where they think their money should be going to, well, then bye-bye. We're going to get rid of that program. So the mayor's office under my leadership is going to work very hard to make sure that everything that's there should be there, because right now City Hall is failing Toronto residents and taxpayers to look out for their best interests, but I'm coming in as an outsider to fight for them.
The fruition of your project depends to some extent as to how and where your relationship, not just as in your, but the city's relationship stand with the provincial and the federal government. How do you intend to have strong, sturdy relationship with both the governments?
Oh, great question. You know, I get along with Premier Doug Ford just fine, and I'm looking forward to working with him for the best interests of the people of Toronto. And I know he wants to get transit built faster, and I support that. And I know he wants to see law and order brought back to the streets of Toronto. And I am going to do that. I'm going to make sure we invest more in police officers. I will tell you, we have fewer police officers now than we did 10 years ago, even though the population has grown. No wonder we have such a crime problem. City Hall right now is failing to deal with that issue. I'll invest in more police officers. And when it comes to federal issues, Shelley, I'll have no problem working with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I know he has a number of Liberal ridings in Toronto, and he wants to support the people of Toronto, so I will work with Mr. Trudeau.
Absolutely. Right. And you mentioned about the crime and how we have less police officers on ground than we had about a decade ago. But, okay, you can increase the number of police officers. But from the people's perspective, what do you think? And just as a resident of Toronto, what is your understanding? Why are we where we are? What is the real cause, this root cause of the rate of crime we are experiencing in the city as of now?
Great question. And Shelley, I really believe that the drug crisis is playing a major role in what's unfolding on our streets. The chaos we see downtown Toronto, on the subway system, where there are a lot of people, because of their drug addictions, they are in a position where they're attacking people randomly. And I know there are many stories in the news. There's a stabbing, say, and then a couple days later, I'll speak to a cop who tells me, yeah, that was a person who was troubled on drugs. And yet, City Hall wants to create more drug injection sites where we provide the material for people to be doing drugs. And I'm saying pause, time out. We are not doing that anymore. All the communities I speak to, the family groups, the faith groups, they say, no, we are not raising our children to go in that direction. Those aren't the values that we support. So what I'm going to do instead is take the resources that are allocated to the drug injection sites, and we're going to flip them into treatment centers, because a compassionate society doesn't keep people on drugs. It gets them off of drugs. And by doing that, we can both help these people get on with their lives, and we can protect our families by making the streets safer.
Right. Mr. FUREY, you have been very candid with your responses, very honest and detailed. And here at Y Media, we strongly believe in keeping conversations transparent, honest, and candid at the same time. Are you open for a rapid fire round, just so people know you a little better? And these are going to be very light-hearted questions like your favorite animal, your favorite holiday destination, things like that.
Let's do it.
Are you up for that? All right, then, let's begin. So what is your favorite animal?
I guess I just got to say dogs, because it's so nice to just play in the park with them, and the kids get to chase them and playing ball with them and everything.
All right, then, dog owners in Toronto, you have someone there who loves dog. Okay.
But I'm not
right,
against cats, too.
Cats, too, okay. Your favorite spot in Toronto where you feel peace?
I like going to Toronto Island. It's a very peaceful place. Sometimes the breeze just hits you, and it's sunny and it's warm, and the kids are just at play on the big lawns there. Toronto Island is great.
One thing that you don't like about Toronto?
Oh, it's a tough one because I love the city so much. I guess I don't like the crime, which is one of the reasons I'm running for mayor, to help straighten that out.
What do you like more, being a journalist or being a politician?
Oh, wow. I've only been a politician for a couple months, but I am loving it because I get to meet so many amazing people. So maybe I'm flipping over to this side now.
All right. Okay, last question. And given a choice, in the first 90 days, although you told me what you'll be doing as a mayor, you are the mayor of Toronto, hypothetically, the first thing, the first decision that you will take?
I will commence that 90-day review to make sure that I'm respecting everyone's dollars, to make sure every program we're doing is something that's about serving the people of Toronto. That is my promise to everyone. I, Anthony FUREY, as mayor, I'm going to fully commit to serving the people.
All right, well, thank you so much for talking to us. But before I let you go, of the 92 candidates, and you are one of them, the 91 candidates, who do you think is a strong contender against you?
I think Toronto has a clear choice. My views, which are about respecting tax dollars, no road tolls, I'm not going to tear down the Gardiner, I'm going to support our police. And then the other clear choice is Olivia Chow, more of a far left perspective, more taxes, more bike lanes, tearing down highways, and that's not the direction I'm going to go in. So I think the Toronto voters will have a clear choice on June 26th, myself or Olivia Chow, and I put forward my humble position as to why I believe I'm the person who's ready to fight for Toronto and fight for this city I love so much.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you for the opportunity.
This was Mr. Anthony FUREY giving his perspective and understanding of the city of Toronto, what his vision is for the city of Toronto when he becomes the mayor. With this, it's a wrap on our special interview, but the news and views continue. So you stay with us. Thanks for watching.
Hi, this is Priyanka Chopra and you're watching Channel Y.
The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media. Y Media.